103 St. Lucia. Tune in on 95.9 FM or online at revupslu.com. Call the studio at 572-9710 or WhatsApp 287-0971. Call the office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Up next, Doctor in the House brought to you the compliments of La Place Salazon, Ultramart, Susie's Variety, and Tapia Hospital.
At Tapia Hospital, caring and competent obstetric consultants will see you safely from prenatal care through delivery with a team of excellent pediatric and anesthetic support. Tapia Hospital, where the patient's safety comes first.
Junek will come in and we'll have a ball. Saltfish and herring and mackerel and all. These are a few of our favorite things.
Mais qui côté nous kay twape se bagay sa la?
Susie's Variety. You better believe it.
At our Border Wash branch, we're open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and in Vieux-Fort, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
All stores are closed on Sundays. So saltfish and herring and mackerel and more. Susie's Variety is just the store.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramart, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramart.
It's delicious.
La Place Salazon is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Place Salazon, of course. La Place Salazon, Castries, Groselet, Vieux-Fort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
It's now time for Doctor in the House, live on Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM, hosted by Dr. Leonard Suraj. Dr. Suraj, a very good evening to you and good to see you again.
Yeah, good evening, Andre. Good evening, listeners, and good evening, followers of that program. I'm here again, the usual thing. Every Tuesday, I'm here to discuss something to do with health or health-related issues. And as you know, you are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X. Today, I will, since, as you may or may not know, this is Cancer Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the month of October. So you'll be hearing a lot of stuff about breast cancer. I'm sure you've heard a lot already, but I thought I would play my part and bring in a program in which I was able to, I didn't have to work hard at it, to get Dr. Tamara Remy to come with me. As you know, you may have known her work in the area of breast cancer, she being the president of the Cancer Society, as well as being a general surgeon with a special interest in breast diseases, both men and women, I would imagine.
Yes,
right.
Definitely.
So Dr. Tamara Remy, thank you for being here at reasonably short notice, and thanks for participating in that program, and welcome.
Thanks once again for being here at Rev-Up. I think I'm one of your staple guests by now.
Seems
I think so. Yeah, and I think my favorite topic discussing is usually something related to breast, right? But thank you for bringing that awareness again this month. We probably could not go through the month without having at least one episode speaking
Sure.
about breast cancer.
I think so. And I'm happy that you actually brought it to my attention, because I had not heard much. Frankly, I didn't remember it was the month of October, but I'm happy that you bailed me out on that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but I was looking at some other statistics, and what is very clear in St. Lucia, that breast cancer is perhaps the commonest cancer in women, and perhaps the biggest killer of women with cancers.
In St. Lucia?
Yeah.
In St. Lucia, that is very correct. So it is number one in terms of cancer in females. Second only overall to prostate cancer.
Prostate.
And it is the number one cancer-related cause of death in St. Lucia. And those figures sort of mirror, for the most part, global figures.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So when we speak about cancer and cancer deaths, I think lung cancer is still very much still up there as number one in a lot of first world countries, smoking related. But breast cancer is certainly getting up there. So certainly in our neck of the woods, in our middle to low income countries, breast cancer is number one.
And from what I was reading, that even when you compare first world country or developed countries to our part of the world, we tend to get it a little more severe and maybe earlier. In the women usually who have breast cancer usually between 45 and 55.
I'm not sure that figure holds across the board. What we do know, and that's in first world countries as well as in our countries, is that the rate of increase of diagnosis in younger women is higher.
Okay.
So the majority of women who get breast cancer or who are diagnosed with breast cancer are still in the age group 50 and older. So that's still the majority, even in St. Lucia. But when we look at over the years, the number of 30-something and 40-something-year-olds who are getting breast cancer, that rate of increase is higher. That's what's increasing. So in other words, if you have 100 women who are diagnosed with breast cancer, about 2/3 of those will be over the age of 50. Okay, so it's still predominantly older, because one of the biggest risk factors is getting older. It still is getting older.
And
right? And the second one is being female. All right, so those are certainly competing. Yeah, well, that's almost like prostate cancer.
That's right.
Right, the two
On
biggest
the
risk
other side,
factors are being male and getting older.
And to a large extent driven by hormones, no?
Kind of. So with breast cancer, the association with hormones, in terms of risk factors, yes, for sure. And also, if you do develop breast cancer, there is, in a lot of cases, the influence of the hormones that actually cause the cancer to grow. So in a lot of cases, it may not be the reason why you get cancer, but a lot of breast cancers are sensitive to our female hormones. And so that forms part of some person's treatment plan,
and
if they are
usually
sensitive.
For these patients, the prognosis is better.
Yes, because you have some alternatives
you can
to
block
treatment. You can block the effects of the hormones and therefore kill some
That's
of the
a very
cells.
important thing, because when you hear some of the public comments, like I hear people talk about the fear of cancer at large and the fear of breast cancer because they knew somebody who had breast cancer and it was terrible. Now, it is very easy to believe this is the case with everybody, but I know equally there are a lot of women I know, breast cancer 20, 30 years, and you'd never know.
Exactly. That is true. And for this year, especially with our campaign at the Cancer Society, Pink on Purpose, we've actually been trying to focus a lot on survivors, on the stories. And for one of the programs that I've been asked to do during this month, we've been trying to focus on a realistic approach, obviously, the facts as they relate to breast cancer, but always trying to end on a positive and high note, because yes, the word cancer is one of those that we prefer not to even mention. It's the big elephant in the room. I call it the pink elephant.
That's right.
Right, with the significance. But we have a lot of stories locally and certainly in developed countries where we have survivors, thrivers even. The difference kind of being how you view yourself in spite of a diagnosis, in spite of your therapies, in spite of the journey. Even persons who have what we call metastatic disease, where it's spread but they're getting treatment anyway. They're thriving. They're living life with a positive attitude and doing all the things and accomplishing all the things that they actually want to accomplish. And so in order to allow the conversation to actually be something that is more palatable, something that people are not afraid of, I think it's only fair that we focus on or show that there are two sides to it. So yes, as with every illness, you will have persons who got treatment at a late stage, and so the effectiveness of your therapy is not going to be as good as we would like. You have people who presented even early, but there's no such thing as never and always in medicine. So even if they've gotten everything that should have been given, there's still a small percentage who will not survive cancer. And then on the other side, you have persons who presented somewhat advanced and have done well, and those who've come with early cancer and have done well just the same way. So I think we always need to strike that balance. It's not all doom and gloom, but I think the more information that people have is probably the only way that we're going to make it a conversation that's going to effect some sort of change.
Now, there's a question I want to ask. I didn't know at what point in the program I should ask it, but I suppose since it has come to the forefront of my mind, I'm going to ask it.
No problem.
We have been hearing about cancer and what causes cancer, how you can prevent it. I mean, every year for many, many years, the cancer of the breast people have been being told about it. There's a lot of public knowledge. Government have put a lot of effort in educating people. And the breast itself that have the cancer is not an organ that is remote, deep in your body that you cannot feel it, you cannot see it. So why is it? And thirdly, we know fully well that the earlier you can pick a cancer, the more likely, the better the prognosis will be. No matter what kind of cancer, pick it up early, you have a better chance. So these three things in hand, why is it that we are still seeing so many people so late?
I think if we got the answer to that question, it would be just as much of an aha kind of moment as what causes cancer.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? It's almost the same as saying you have patients who have diabetes. UHC, the government have made medication free. They've given glucometers. They've given the strips for free. They've given all kinds of incentives. You can get maybe free mobile points, or you get a top up, etc. And the patients sit in the midst of all of these free things and decide they're not taking the medication.
But I think,
understanding the why. So if I were to perhaps speculate and try to give some ideas as to why. Number one, I may disagree a little bit with you about the efforts that are being made in terms of the education and the campaigns that are out there. I still think that it is only in October that we hear about breast cancer. And in fact, the rest of the year, even though there are cancer awareness months every single month,
that's right,
you hear nothing. And so people will say, well, Cancer Awareness Month is in October. No, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is in October. But what happens for the rest of the year? So a lot of these campaigns are not sustained. There's a lot of thrust by everybody, whether it's government, associations like the Cancer Society. We try to be a little bit more consistent. But hey, in October, it's a time when everybody recognizes the pink and recognizes what that campaign is about. Corporate, everybody sort of jumps on the bandwagon in October. And even then, there are a lot of people who you would think, because there's so much noise about it, that there's absolutely nobody who's not hearing the noise. I'm always surprised that there are still people who have no clue as to what is happening and what is breast cancer and what are the signs and symptoms and all of these things. So, yes, we're making noise and yes, we're advocating, but is it being efficient?
That is
all right. So that's number one. Is it being consistent? I say no. Yes, in July, we've launched on screening services at the 2 major public hospitals where access to mammograms, ultrasounds, everything related to screening is free.
That's right.
Once you access it. So there was the big launch. And yes, you may hear a few things, but again, it's the efficiency and efficacy of the information that's being put out there. So I think that needs to be worked on. Maybe you need to have the same information deep into communities where you find a way to get to the persons in communities who are not even hearing the information.
I'm thinking of a lot more research need to be done in specifically these areas. What make people receiving information, knowing the gravity of the problem, and being told by people who are knowledgeable on the subject, yet they would turn around the other way and take advice from anybody they get.
Well, I think that that's probably a natural response, right? Especially if you take into consideration the word cancer. There is nothing positive about the word cancer. I mean, as much as we try to spin a positive outlook because you can get it, the word cancer by itself invokes a lot of negative emotions. There's fear, there's all of that. And I think with a lot of things in life, when you're confronted or don't want to be confronted with something that's negative, you sweep it under the rug. You don't want to have to deal with it. So you may feel a lump and decide, okay, no, I probably know that it's breast cancer or there's a high chance or I should go get it checked out, but I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? That's a normal response for something like that. And especially when you don't hear a lot of positive endings going with it. So you tend to not want to have to face it. So there's that. And then there are cultural things that we haven't even talked about.
That's right.
And I'm not beating anybody down because, people are entitled to their own opinions. They do their own research. And we do have evidence that for some people, going the natural/herbal route may work. Again, there's fear of doctors, there's fear of chemotherapy, there's fear of medicine, the traditional our way of medicine. There's mistrust of doctors. There are all of those things that people would opt to go another route, or what may be an easier route, or what may even be a more tolerable route. When you hear about chemotherapy, losing your hair, some people having some really adverse effects, nobody wants to have to go through that.
And they only remember losing. Actually, for a long time, I thought the hair never grows back.
And it does grow back as soon as your chemo, even before you stop chemo, sometimes your hair starts growing back. So there are a lot of reasons why, in spite of getting the information or having the information, some of our most educated people will decide, I'm going to pretend like it's not there.
Yeah, because not knowing gives me a little window of comfort that I don't know.
Exactly.
It may not be.
You don't know for sure. So you hold on to the fact that it may not be.
That's right.
So I think that there are a lot of reasons, and some of it is probably still lack of information, lack of how to access care, lack of availability, in some cases of affordability. Some people think that you can only treat your cancer if you go to the private doctor. They've been so fearful or being convinced that if you go to the public hospital, like, that you're not going to get the right chemo. You're not going to be able to get the chemo. You're going to have to wait for a long time. And so your only chance of getting treated is by going private. And that for them equals money.
And to me, that is a serious thing, because it means that the many who may not be able to afford private care simply feel that they don't have a chance.
Exactly.
And that's bad.
And that is bad, and it's untrue.
That's right.
Okay? Yeah. So there's bad where if it was actually the case, right? But it's actually untrue.
That's right.
And I think as we've tried to emphasize, you and I both work, you much longer than me, in both the public and the private sector. Yeah. And I would really like to think that the care that we offer our patients is consistent across the board, no matter where it is that you try or that you actually access healthcare. And
I've been asked that question a few times, that you may have remembered, when they asked me, how is it, patient on this program actually, how is it that when you all are in the government service, you all move so fast, and the care, and people believe that the care you all give in your office is different to the care you give in the government office. How do you explain that? Well, my explanation is that if I'm in my office, I would see about 6 patients for the day. If I'm in clinic, I would see about 40 patients in 4 hours.
Exactly, because you have to.
You have to.
Yes.
Because the waiting list is climbing, so you have to add more. And then most time you don't have an assistant that can actually, the assistant you have is somebody you have to train and not somebody who can pick up the slack.
Exactly.
And therefore, what quality of service can you give when you have that level of that pressure of work?
Exactly. Unless you are in a position where you can dictate and say, I will only see, and then there's a backside to that, right? I will only see 20 patients in my 4-hour clinic.
Yeah.
It allows me time to see the new patients, spend a reasonable amount of time with them, and see the reviews. But what's the downside to that?
Right.
Is that your next available appointment is in 6 months.
And that is
So
bad.
there's obviously no win, right? But unfortunately, access to the public service is cheaper. The numbers are much larger, and the expectations are also a lot more. And that is why a lot of us will advocate that the changes need to happen in the public service, whether you have more trained specialists, more juniors, more time, in order to deal with what it is that we're seeing. But I think that those numbers, whether it's for diabetes, whether it's for ENT issues, whether it's for general surgery issues, unless you work on the preventative aspect of it, your numbers will always continue to grow.
That's right.
So
Like,
you get
right.
more people diagnosed with cancer, more people diagnosed with diabetes, more people not taking care of their diabetes and end up with having to cut off a leg or a toe or something like that. Until you deal with the young people, our youth, where we teach them what's healthier living, exercise, diet, stop smoking, or don't ever start smoking,
That's
the
right.
alcohol, the mental health, all of those things, those numbers are just going to continue to overwhelm any public service that you have.
Yeah, lead to all other chronic diseases as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, but I feel it's something I'm very passionate about, because I feel that a lot of resources are being put out, and the effect of it is not as much as you'd have expected.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and we still do not know why. I used to think maybe it is that the people are less educated, because, as you know, there are many people that don't read and follow things. So because they are less educated, they are less like, they see information as being with a certain amount of suspicion. Now, when you look at the more developed countries with a more higher education rate, do you see the same problem with late presentation and that kind of thing? Barbados is a typical example of a country that is,
and their numbers are
literate.
still high.
That's what I'm asking.
Right,
Yeah.
the numbers are still high. So I mean, there are lots of different reasons and lots of different barriers. Even when we look at first world countries, so in general, the figures look better in terms of earlier diagnosis, in terms of survival, in terms of better outcomes. When you break it down, the persons who are on the lower end of that socioeconomic group level are still people like me, blacks, right? The minorities, and their figures actually look more like our figures.
Our figures.
Yes.
Okay.
So access to care, equity, not equality, equity. What
That's
is it
right.
that you need to get everybody to the same level? It's not going to be the same for everybody. Okay? So somebody who makes, let's just say, $3,000 a month, but needs to get a mammogram that costs $100. Let's just say you're paying for mammograms. It's going to be a very different picture to somebody who makes $800 for the month. Their ability to take $100 out of that $800 paycheck is going to be very different from somebody who makes $3,000. What the commitments are. And so you need to meet people at a place where whatever it is that they need to access the same care, you've dealt with that. Right? So I think it's multifactorial, but yes, a lot of our patients, and I'm talking from my private practice as well as in the public sector when I was there, a lot of our patients present fairly late.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So breast cancer, like most cancers, goes from stage 1 to stage 4.
Mhm.
The majority are somewhere between 2 and 3, stage 2 and stage 3.
That's when you get them.
That's
Okay.
usually when you get them.
All right.
In places where you have pretty robust screening programs, we're speaking about mammograms, ultrasounds, diagnostics, meaning biopsies, etc., they're able to pick up a lot of these lesions before you even feel something, which is the whole value of screening, picking it up before you can actually feel or see. As you said, your breast is somewhere where you can see it.
Yeah, you have access to
you
it.
don't have to go
Looking for it.
or have somebody else go look for it.
That's right.
And so if we're waiting to feel the lump and waiting to see the change in the entire breast, then you know that it's been there for a while.
That's right.
And so I'm very happy that UHC has come up with the guidelines for at least 3 so far and made available the screening services for cervical, prostate, and breast.
Okay.
I understand they're probably working on other things, but now it's really about just how the service actually works. It's one thing to have it on paper. It's one thing to say this is what should happen, but in actual fact, in practice, we now need to see how it's going to work and what we need to do to tweak it to make it actually better.
Okay, we'll take a little break.
Yes, sir. I know you've been waiting patiently for that moment.
Get back in just a moment.
All right, okay.
This is Doctor in the House Live with Dr. Leonard Suraj on Rev-Up St. Lucia 95.9 FM, brought to you the compliments of La Place, Salazar, Ultramart, Susie's Variety, and Tapio Hospital.
Tapio Hospital Radiology Department offers 24-hour service. We provide you with X-ray, CT scans, and ultrasound imaging using the most modern equipment that produces the best images for your medical attention. Call the Radiology Unit at 459-2201. Tapio Hospital, where the patient's safety comes first.
Junek will come in and we'll have a ball. Saltfish and herring and mackerel and all. These are a few of our favorite things.
Mais qui kote nou kay twape se bagay sa la?
Susie's Variety.
You better believe it.
At our Border Wash branch, we're open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and in Vieux-Fort, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
All stores are closed on Sundays.
So saltfish and herring and mackerel and more. Susie's Variety is just the store.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramart, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramart.
It's delicious.
La Place Salazar is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Place Salazar, of course. La Place Salazar. Castries, Grocery, Beaufort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
Welcome back to Doctor in the House Live on Rev-Up St. Lucia. Dr. Suraj, it's back to you.
Thank you again, Andre, and thank you, listeners, for staying on. Today we are discussing, as you know, it is the month of October, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we are in studio. I have with me Dr. Tamara Remy, General Surgeon with special interest in breast cancer, and also the President of the Cancer Society. We've been discussing for the past half hour or so some aspects of breast cancer. It's not all doom and gloom. there is a positive side to it, and we were just discussing a few areas in breast cancer. Now, the number to call if you have a contribution or if you would like to educate us a bit, you can call 572-9710. That's a fixed line, 572-9710, or a WhatsApp 287-0971.
You have a call.
Hello.
So have you used headphones?
Good evening. Hello, good evening. You. Hello.
Okay, I think here's a little problem with the connection. So please call back. Yes.
Okay, so a couple of things that I think we just need to run by. So Dr. Suraj alluded to the fact that the number of cases, that breast cancer is number one among St. Lucian females and number one cause of cancer-related deaths. So some of the figures provided by epidemiology in the Ministry of Health, if we look back at 2014, the number of breast cancer cases, new cases, was about 48.
48.
In total, 48. And by 2024, we were at like 71 new cases just for that year.
Yeah.
As predicted, the number of cancer cases are expected to rise until something happens, right? Until something significant happens. And I think that that's something obviously we'll have to do with prevention.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting very good at diagnostics. We're able to get the 3D, meaning three-dimensional mammograms instead of the 2D.
Okay.
So we're picking up things and we're doing more biopsies, so we're diagnosing it more. As well as the fact that probably more people are actually getting cancer, right? So there's a difference. You have an increase in the number of cancer cases, but in some cases, because people know what to do now, they're actually accessing care so that they can get diagnosed. So those may be some of the reasons why those numbers are going up. We need to stop the numbers from going up.
That's right.
Okay, the numbers need to be going down. And the only way, just like diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, is with prevention. Recently, I read something by a doctor at one of the more famous hospitals, and she expressed that we spend so much money on research and treatments, but research in prevention is highly underfunded. All right, and I tend to agree with that.
I would totally agree with that,
And when we speak about prevention, we obviously have to look at what are the risk factors. And the good thing, like I say every time I come on this show, is that if you group all of the non-communicable diseases together, the NCDs, prevention risk factors are almost the same. Each of them may have something that's peculiar to them, but in general, we speak about healthier lifestyles, we talk about exercise, we talk about the food that you put into your body, we speak about tobacco smoking. Now, alcohol has been very much linked to breast cancer. Okay, so in the past, you'd have me say, maybe, the one glass of red wine that's going to protect my heart might be very good for, the heart, but the more regular drinks that you have, you increase your risk of getting breast cancer. Okay, so as a female, you need to take note of that. I personally believe that a lot of these NCDs and why we were seeing a lot more cancers is because we've changed everything about what we do. From the food that we eat, whether we cook it ourselves, we know what we're putting in the food, the fast food, everything is still about instantaneous, right? And so I think eventually, like with most things, we're going to make a full circle and go back to what we used to do before, which is grow your own food, rear your own animals.
That's right.
Milk your own cows, right? You don't have anything on a shelf that's pasteurized or is preserved that it can last for 3 months after you've actually made it. And then perhaps we will begin to see a lot of changes. That's just my personal opinion. When I look at the changes between 50 and 60 years ago and now, I mean, it's obvious a lot of the things that have gone different. Nobody walks anymore.
Right, and people are more sedentary because of, even with the media, whereby everybody has a cell phone and sitting out there. And just being not
a lot more people are overweight.
That's right.
Obesity has been linked to all of the non-communicable diseases. And so I think a lot of it has to go with our lifestyle. There are some things when it comes to breast cancer that we cannot change in terms of risk factors, right?
That's
so we
right.
say non-modifiable. So as we mentioned, the two big ones before, being female, even if you try to have a sex change, your DNA and your chromosomes are always going to say XX or XY. It doesn't matter what you do. And your age. As we get older, everything that our body has been exposed to, the effects are going to be felt. We speak about things like a family history. You really don't have very much control over
that,
the history, but it's important to know so that you probably know what your risk is of developing different types of cancers.
And if you have one risk, say, have a family history, protect yourself from the other risks by doing less of other things.
Exactly. So there's not a cumulative kind of effect,
So if
right?
you know your father or your mother had cancer of the breast, and you're drinking a lot of maybe alcohol, reduce on the other mitigating factors.
Exactly. So you already have a significant risk factor, which is your family history. You don't need to add any more to it.
Absolutely.
Okay? And a common misconception is that the majority of people who get breast cancer or any kind of cancer have a family history. That's not true. 10% of persons who develop cancer have a family history. So the
10%.
other 90% are things that we are doing.
Yeah, okay.
Other things.
Yeah.
Okay?
And because we are doing it, it's preventable.
Yes, a lot of what we're doing is preventable. In fact, 30 to 50% of cancers in general are thought to be preventable. We're not speaking just about breast cancer, just in general.
So if you were to tell somebody that if you listen to my advice in terms of your behavior, you can reduce the chance of getting a cancer by 50%. That sounds like
kind of, but not not as easy as that. But for certainly those that you can actually prevent, right? So those that we know that there are causative or very closely related factors. So the typical ones, and we've spoken about this before, would be something like HPV. Right? HPV causes cervical cancer. So if
HPV
you
is
get rid of
human papillomavirus,
HPV, right, then you should not get cervical cancer. Likewise, with colon cancer, if you have polyps, which are low growths, depending on what they look like, because you can have completely benign ones, or you can have those that if you don't do anything about them and leave them where they are, so you don't do the colonoscopy, you don't remove them, they will develop into colon cancer. With the breast, there are some precancerous lesions that in 4 out of 10 cases, if you don't do anything about them, will go on to develop into breast cancer. And so it's important to know that your breast lump may not be cancerous, but there are certain types of breast lumps or breast changes that are actually precancerous. So all of that information. In terms of other things that we cannot change, so we have no control over what age we start seeing our menses for the first time as young ladies, and what age we go through menopause.
That's right.
The importance of that is really the amount of time that you have been exposed to the hormone estrogen that is unopposed, and that's thought to be a risk factor. And under that, when we talk about hormones, we can now add in some of the modifiable things. So the oral contraceptive pill is associated with a slightly increased risk of breast cancer because you are exposing the body, breast cells, to extra estrogen, okay? And that's a female hormone. However, once you stop the pill, then your risk goes back to what it was before. The most topical thing right now is hormone replacement therapy. And I suspect that
that's for menopause and things.
That's for menopause. And 20 years ago, studies at the time incidentally saw that there was an increase in breast cancer, or so it was reported, with women who use hormonal replacement therapy. Though all of that research has been reviewed, revisited, and in fact, where we're at now is that hormonal replacement therapy is used actually in some women who have had breast cancer, who are suffering the effects of menopause. Whether it's natural menopause because of their age, because remember we said most women who are going to develop breast cancer are over the age of 50, which is around the same time as menopause. Or if it's because of chemotherapy, because sometimes when you get chemotherapy, it affects your ovaries. It stunts them. You actually can get thrown into menopause, or the periods stop and then they restart again. And then we spoke about hormonal treatments for certain types of breast cancer, which throw you definitely into menopause.
That's
and
right.
so we have women who have debilitating symptoms related to menopause, who have great relief with hormone replacement therapy. And that has to be tailored to each woman, what the risk factors are, etc. So it's been very, very topical now. And in fact, I think the FDA may actually remove that black box warning that's on your hormone replacement therapy that says may cause cancer, because that's not what the evidence has actually shown. But that's for a whole different
topic,
right?
yeah.
But we're speaking about modifiable and non-modifiable things.
That's right.
And so under the modifiable, this is where we get to effect a lot of the change and prevention. We talk about, again, the alcohol, the tobacco, the exercise, what is a healthy diet, all of those things. And I think that's where we actually need to spend a lot more of our money and a lot more of our time, because you're going to get the maximum benefit, because it's not just applicable for cancer. It's applicable across the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are
obesity and
multiple ways you
everything
can benefit from it.
Exactly.
Just a quick question,
Sure.
Dr. Remy. At the beginning of the program, I think you both agreed that breast cancer is the most common form of cancer among women in St. Lucia, right?
Yes.
Okay. So while we know official research has not really been done to follow these things and to find out what may be a cause or links and so on, from your interactions with the breast cancer patients that you see, / survivors, etc., is there something in common that you've noticed? Because the fact that that's the most common form of cancer in St. Lucia, something must be going on as to why you'd have that prevalence of this type of cancer among St. Lucian women.
To answer your question, I have not found that there is a common thread, actually. Because I would have a 43-year-old female who has 3 children, who has breastfed, which are thought to be somewhat protective, those two things in terms of breast cancer, who's vegetarian, who doesn't eat meat, who exercises regularly, who doesn't drink alcohol, and get breast cancer with no family history. And you wonder, one thing that I do say when it comes to breast cancer, perhaps there is probably a significant stressor, something that has been extremely stressful. And my take on that is our body, our first line of defense for most cancers is our immune system. And when you have things that affect our immune system, whether it's stress related or something that does not have you at your optimum, it's an opportunity for things to be chaotic, which is kind of how I describe cancer. The normal cycle of cell growth and cell division gets interrupted, and our immune system doesn't get to do the work that it's supposed to do efficiently. And so I have found not in all cases, but in quite a few, that there is some significant stressor that has happened. And if they go back to thinking about it, they probably will all say, that there was something there. But apart from that, it's so varied that I don't know that I can say that this is cause and effect. People will talk about, where it is that you live in St. Lucia. Is it because of, the water runoff? Is it because of farming communities? You're right. In St. Lucia, so far, we have not been specific about looking for those sorts of associations, whether it's geographic location, what the commonalities might be. But certainly for patients coming into my office, there's a routine enough set of questions that I ask just to see if there is, majority risk factor that they share. But I haven't found that at all.
Just a final question.
Sure.
Well, I think we all know that women consider their breasts, that's their pride, right? I mean, that's what they breastfeed with and so on. And even if, for example, I've noticed if a woman is caught unawares naked, the first thing she does is just cover her breasts, right? So there seems to be a sort of protective attitude when it comes to women and how they perceive their breasts and so on. So I'm just curious to know, when you, as a female, and you find out that what is supposed to be your pride and joy and this sort of thing, and how you're so protective, and to find out that you now have cancer in your breast, and you may even need to remove a breast or both, as a matter of fact. Describe for us the how a woman feels when they have to go through this sort of thing.
So what I'll probably be answering is with what I would call secondhand information, because it's my interpretation of what I see with patients. The majority of my patients, their first reaction is, what do I need to do? Take it off. That's usually the first response.
Yeah.
They will say, I need to live. I have my family, or I have my children that I need to live for. So what is going to afford me that best chance? A few up front will say, I don't want to lose my breast. Is there another option? In which case, you go down the conversation route of reconstruction, implants, etc., which we don't have readily available here, but there's access. But the majority of my patients, losing a breast as their first response is not what you would think. It's about survival. And I think that's a common thread that we see with females, because their role is so multifactorial. Is that the right word? They have so many roles that the thought that they cannot function or will not be there is just not even an option. And the first place that their minds go to, I think, is family. And how is this going to affect my ability to do that? I think afterwards, after they've gone through whatever it is that is necessary, that usually takes about 6 to 12 months. So that's surgery, chemotherapy, they go through everything. Then they stop and go, boy, doc, I'm really going to think about maybe can I get reconstruction at this point? Some don't even go there. And for some of them, it may be a lot more because of financial reasons. When you have the conversation about surgery and the options, for those who can be given an option, if you only remove a portion of the breast, you have to have radiation, and that's expensive and it's not available in St. Lucia. So you would have to travel and spend anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 for radiation as part of your treatment. But for me, that is secondary. The majority of people are like, just take it off. Just what do I have to do? Just take it off. They worry about the cosmetic. A few people have actually said, I'm not going to have surgery. Even if it's early, I will do my chemo. I'm not taking off my breast. Or I will only take off my breast if I can get new breasts. I've had a couple of examples where the patients have said, take off my breast, but I'm never taking chemo.
Okay.
All right. And the correct treatment in most cases is a combination of surgery and whether it's chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, other therapies. It's usually not just one, unless you have pretty advanced disease, in which case surgery is not usually part of the initial conversation. But no, they don't hesitate most times for surgery that involves removing the breast. And yes, it's a conversation that we have to have, because when you go through all of that, it's almost like you're in a whirlwind. You do what you think you need to do. It's only after things have stopped spinning that you kind of go, hold on, what just went here? What just went on right here? And then you start inquiring. For some patients, I try to have the conversation before so that they're aware and informed. But the priority is about survival. And they're okay, the majority of them. I mean, how it affects their relationships is a whole different conversation, because as a male, you speak about women being protective, but as a male, the presence of breast is just as important to you as a partner. And so that by itself is a whole different conversation. Like talk about intimacy for those younger women, or even women who might be single. At which point do you have the conversation with a new partner that, hey, I only have one breast? What's the expectation? How do you uncover this? How do you bear yourself afterwards? And even it's just as serious a conversation as persons who have been in marriages for 10, 15 years. And as the male, you are expected to be supportive, but you have your own feelings, and you have to cope with all of this in your own way. So that emotional body image part of it, and that's a big reason why a lot of the treatments now are geared at breast conservation, because we understand how it affects, or anticipate how it affects a woman in terms of preservation of breast. So reconstruction, all of those things have come out of an understanding of that. Having said that, a lot of women will say take off both and I just want to go flat.
Wow.
So it all depends.
I'm surprised with those reactions. I'm surprised. Yeah,
Yeah.
Suraj.
Well, of course, preservation of life is extremely important, and women have this particular concern, and I have heard it over and over. Doc, I don't want to have a cancer. I don't want to die. I have to see my children grow.
That's at the forefront.
The men may feel that way too, but I have seen it over and over, expressing that degree of the desire to see their children grow. They want to see their grandchildren and that kind of thing. And I can fully understand that if you've been told for the first time you have a cancer, whether it's breast or whatever, that must be a tremendous blow to you.
Mm-hmm.
That thing must shatter your entire being, make you go back on the drawing board and start from zero.
And wonder what it is that you might have done or shouldn't have done.
Right. Yeah.
But interesting as you say that, a lot of my patients, so my approach is usually, if I know that you're coming in because I have your results,
Yeah.
I will ask you to come in. I don't give results over the phone because I don't know what you're doing, where you're at the time.
Yeah.
And most times I will say to the patient, after I've said, these are your results, but I think we're end the conversation here because I need for it to settle. I need for you to absorb it, to understand what I just said. No, doc, it's okay. Tell me what I need to do next. Even in all of the chaos that you anticipate that somebody is feeling because they've just been told you have cancer. And my patients laugh at me because I have this conversation every single time. I'm like, you got to make me speak for another half an hour, tell you what the plan is. And then next week when you come back to see me, because you're coming back next week with your family, with somebody, everybody you want to bring, and we're going to have the same conversation again because I don't think you would have grasped everything that I said. No, doc, it's okay. Tell me what I have to do. In fact, can I go see the doctor now? Can I go see the oncologist now? They are ready once it is that you've given them that diagnosis to find out what's next.
It could very well be that while they are waiting for the results and you are waiting for it also, they may have said to themselves, what if this? What if that?
True.
And with the what if, say, well, if it is this, I'll do that. If it is a positive, I'll think of that. And maybe in their mind, they come in prepared to make a decision.
Well, most times if I think it's cancer, I tell my patients I think it's cancer. So there's no Sometimes I'm surprised. Okay, rarely. But I would usually prepare the patients. But even then, I can only imagine the devastation of being actually told. Because there's still an element of hope that doctor say it might be. But, I'm holding on to that. But, the resilience with a diagnosis like that.
From time to time, I get the question that the doctors are hiding information from the patient. I have been practicing medicine for a long time. And even when I was in training, they tell you mustn't hide any information from any patient. So I do not know how that this kind of perception continue to permeate as if the doctor knows something was happening in the body, not telling me. There is a distrust in terms of giving them the information or not telling the information to the patient themselves. But what I know from training is that you have to say it to someone. If it is in your opinion that the patient is not in the position to accept that information, or they mentally whatever, then you have to call the relatives in and explain. I say that because a while ago you said you call the relatives in, and generally
tell them to bring whoever they want to bring. Yes.
Generally we do it to all patients, but there is still this perception that we know and don't tell.
Well, to add to what you say, I can only speak for myself, and I can only speak for maybe 2 of my colleagues that I will ever volunteer to put my hand in fire for.
Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think a lot of this mistrust and distrust, is just out there somewhere. So I think we need to remind ourselves that we have that obligation as well to inform patients, unless, like you say, they're unable to understand what it is that you're saying to them. But we do have that responsibility.
But I don't think the doctors hide the information. It's just that this perception has not been erased. It's still there somewhere. And but the other thing I want to talk about is in terms of the dissemination of information. I know many agencies, whether it is Rotary, whether it is SLMDA, whether it is different agencies do different things, give public information. But do you think there's a rule that the organization can come together and offer a more comprehensive rule?
We're always begging for that. Working in silos has not proven to be effective at all. And in spite of seeing, for example, in the month of October, where you have joint initiatives, where you can definitely see everybody's on board, there's still a reluctance. I think it's a cultural thing. But there's obvious benefit in collaborative efforts. It costs less.
That's right.
And you have one message. And so the appeal always is to everybody who is and I use that word, stakeholder, or who has a vested interest in reducing the amount of cancer, the amount of diabetes. As you work together, because what you end up doing is duplicating efforts with your limited finances, your limited human resources. People get a bit confused sometimes with the information that is spread and wonder why is everybody giving the same information in a different way. And so to me, again, apart from prevention, collaboration is probably the only other way that I think we're going to effect any kind of change with cancer numbers.
Because I think the way forward is, as you pointed out earlier on, we are not short on being able to diagnose. Once the patient comes in no time we know what the problem is. You know? But from there is still a lot of work to be done, because you may give the best plan you have. Sometimes they don't follow. Sometimes they have alternative ideas of what works. Sometimes they may leave your therapeutic intervention and take a break from it because they feel they cannot take two sets of medicine at the same time. So they might leave yours behind and go for somebody who gave them a little story, an anecdotal little story about this cousin of theirs who had the same cancer of the breast, and they did this, and they take a few leaves and this and that, and they got better.
Exactly.
Or no
so the
need.
information needs to be provided in a way that people will listen to.
And I think that if we can perhaps team up with other philanthropic organizations that want to spread the word, maybe we can join together and spread a bigger word, reaching more people.
Agreed.
And maybe that's the direction.
That's the way to go. It's just, who's going to take the lead and make it happen. We have no problem doing that, especially when it comes to cancer-related stuff.
Okay.
I'll put up my hand. Cancer Society. We'd love to. So before we wrap up, though, this year our campaign has been POP, Pink on Purpose. And I think most people, corporate, the schools, we were at futsal over the weekend and we got tremendous support.
What's futsal?
It's using the indoor facility, football, among different communities, I don't want to say it wrong, corporate entities, etc. So it's a shortened version of the big field football. So they round robin and have different games. And we're invited over the weekend. And I mean, people came in their pink. They bought all of our stuff. We have the schools working with us. We have corporate St. Lucia working with us. We have our walk coming up, which was postponed for October. We also are going to be at Kick for a Cure. So there are a lot of things happening. It's really just to get information out there. And it's not just about pink. It's understanding why you were in pink. And for me, that's what the POP, Pink on Purpose, was about this year. Understanding what the campaign is about. Understanding that breast cancer is number one in terms of diagnosis and in terms of cause of death. With cancer in our females. Understand what a death of a female in society means. It's not just females, as you said, it's men and women, but by far females are affected. And so it's this year actually making a conscious effort to do pink, to support pink, to donate. And this thing about pink washing, where everybody uses the opportunities to make sales, etc. What we at the Cancer Society are trying to do is really maximize on the amount of fundraising that we can actually do. That's number 4. Number 1 is actually bringing that awareness, educating persons, getting people to touch their breasts, getting people to go to their doctors, getting the people of age group 45 to 55 to do their mammograms, to not be afraid of doing a mammogram, to explain the process, to explain where they can get it done, the affordability, the freeness of it, thanks to UHC. So it's a purposeful campaign this year. We've tried to target the different spas, etc. When your clients come in for their manicures and pedicures, do pink. Start the conversation. Why pink? It's the month of October. This is why we wear pink, in support of the women who have been diagnosed, those we've lost along the way, those who are still going through the journey. So we still have some time in October, trying to get people to actually be purposeful about it and to understand what it's about and to take stock and empower themselves, so that we hopefully will see a reduction in the number of cancers. And for those persons who are diagnosed, that they're early diagnoses and they know how to access care. They know what the avenues are, how to navigate that journey.
And for those who don't know what the status is, they should
go get it.
How often do you think they should do a mammogram? Every year?
Once a year, from age 45 to 55. There's no benefit in doing a mammogram more than that.
More than that.
If you're average risk, okay? And once you're 55, if your mammograms have been normal, between then and we can stop at 69, 70, you can do your mammogram every other year.
And there are many women with very lumpy breasts. Should they be worried about that? I mean,
in general, lumpy breasts don't necessarily all the time predispose you to getting breast cancer. What it does is makes it a little bit more difficult for you to be comfortable examining your breasts. So my advice is you get very intimate with your breasts. You learn where every lump is, where every lumpy area is, so that if something new comes up, that you're the first person. Exactly. If you're unsure, you go to your doctor or the health centers or the wellness centers. Let somebody who knows how to examine your breasts examine them for you, show you what to do. But the onus really is on each of us to do the self-breast examination, because I'm not going to remember what your breast felt like last year if you only come to see me once a year. Once a month is what you need to be doing, so that you can tell me if something new has popped up.
Okay, Dr. Suraj, we have to wrap it up.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Remy, for being here with us and telling us a little more about the breast cancers on a positive side, that it's all not gloom and doom. If you have it, the earlier the better, so get yourself tested and do the screening process. Now, from the point of view of the program, I would like to thank everybody, all the listeners and viewers, for listening to this program, and next week, same time, we'll be there.
Thank you, Dr. Suraj, and thank you, Dr. Remy.
Thank you.
Have a safe night. You've been listening to and viewing live on Rev-Up St. Lucia, Doctor in the House with Dr. Leonard Suraj. Listen again and view again next week, Tuesday, same time from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And Doctor in the House brought to you with the compliments of La Place Salazon, Ultramart, Susie's Variety, and Tapio Hospital.
At Tapio Hospital, we operate a 24-hour emergency service for all your urgent healthcare needs. Our qualified medical specialist will be on hand to ensure that you receive the best of care. Call us at 459-2617. Tapio Hospital, where the patient safety comes first.
Junek will come in and we'll have a ball. Saltfish and herring and mackerel and all. These are a few of our favorite things.
Mais qui kote nou kay twape se bagay sa la?
Susie's Variety. You better believe it.
At our Border Wash branch, we're open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and in Vieux-Fort, Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
All stores are closed on Sundays.
So saltfish and herring and mackerel and more. Susie's Variety is just the store.
Looking for a one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs? Look no further than Ultramart. We stock a variety of options from the world's leading brands, all at affordable prices. Whether you're looking for fresh produce, pantry staples, or household essentials, we've got you covered. And that's not all. Don't miss out on our ultra specials and promotions for a chance to win hundreds of dollars in vouchers, hampers, and special prizes. Visit any one of our 4 convenient locations today or check us out on our Facebook and Instagram page. Ultramat, your one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Shop smart. Shop Ultramat.
It's delicious.
La Place Salazar is the true home of quality meat and deli products, selected and priced to suit every palate and pocket. We sell all cuts of meat, poultry and fish, from tasty lamb necks and succulent pork chops to lean dolphin and juicy top round steaks. Our deli items include turkey, ham, bacon, pork sausages, meat patties, chicken nuggets, deli ham and eggs, so that breakfast or that party is a breeze. And for your added convenience, we sell restaurant essentials and grocery items. So where's your next meal coming from? La Place Salazar, of course. La Place Salazar, Castries, Groselet, Beaufort, and Soufrière.
It's delicious.
You're listening to Rev-Up Slu, the Alpha Upgrade.